We have a press conference that's just getting ready to start about a case a lot of people talking about centered around the Fulton County Jail. You're looking at high-profile civil rights attorney Ben Crump right now. Alongside to screen right is Rashaad Muhammad. He was inside the Fulton County Jail when he said that he was medically neglected and it turned into sepsis, and because of that, some of his limbs were amputated. Let's listen in as they just, I believe, had a conversation with the Fulton County Sheriff.
Real this nightmare was, and how real this nightmare will be every day for the rest of his life.
That's right.
Every day he wakes up with no legs.
That's right.
Every day he wakes up with no hands.
That's right.
Every day he cannot feel the leg that was with him his whole life. And even though he knows it's not there in his mind, he still keeps seeing it, that he's going to be able to use his legs. People who lose limbs often talk about that. So it is severe mental anguish on top of severe physical injuries. And so since he can't stand up for himself, we're all standing up today for Rashaad.
Right.
Stand up for Rashaad.
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 Rashaad met with Sheriff Labont, who offered his heartfelt emotions about this tragedy. You'll hear from Rashaad, who talked to the sheriff about how tragic this was, not just the results, but the pain that he was enduring when he was brought to the Fulton County Jail from Grady Hospital on August 11th. He told them from the moment he was being checked in, I need my antibiotics. I have to have my antibiotics. You know, there are other medicines, but I have to have my antibiotics. It's about my life. If I don't get my antibiotics, I'll die. I have to have my antibiotics. They say you have to tell that to the people when you get up to medical services. He tells them, I have to have my antibiotics. I gotta have it. I have a bladder condition. I have a suprapubic catheter, has to be clean. I have to have my antibiotics. He tells them. He doesn't get them. The next day, he's telling them, I have to have my antibiotics. Third day, I gotta have my antibiotics. He's starting to get sick. He's starting to go down. He's telling them, I need them. He starts to have the scent of the urine. The other inmates at the jail are saying, what is that smell? What's that scent? Y'all need to help that man. There's something going on. Roll call. He's not able to stand for roll call. He's telling them, please, I need my medicine. I gotta have my antibiotics. I gotta have them. I'm gonna die if I don't get my antibiotics. He's begging them. For whatever reason, medical services still doesn't have his antibiotics, and they still ain't sent him to the hospital. It's as simple. 911. That's all you had to do. Get him to the hospital. You didn't have to have a medical degree. All you needed was an ounce of humanity for a man who can't even get up off the center of the floor at that point, right, Rashaad? Who the urine has a stench that has the whole corridor smelling. He can't move. He says, I need help. I need my antibiotics. I need my medication. I need medical intervention. It is the very textbook definition of deliberate indifference. Deliberate indifference for his medical care and his welfare. And that is the problem, because they did not respect his 8th Amendment and 14th Amendment constitutional rights. And the whole reason, when you look at the history of deliberate indifference, you're in the confinement of the law enforcement, of the government. You don't have the ability to go get medical services yourself. So it is required on law that they render medical services that are necessary while you're in their custody, because as we learned from George Floyd case, when you're in their custody, you're in their care.
That's right.
And so he poured his heart out. He let Sheriff Labont know, and Sheriff Labont told him, after LaShawn Thompson, the young man who attorney Michael Harper and I represented, who died in 2022, covered in bed bugs and lice, all in his eyes, in his nose, in his ears, all over his body. And the medical service provider had said in that tragic wrongful death case that they were doing daily welfare checks per their contract with Fulton County. And yet, none of those welfare checks showed that this young man, LaShawn Thompson, was getting eaten to death by bed bugs and lice while here at the Fulton County Jail. And Sheriff Labont shared with Mr. Muhammad how he advocated before that for a new jail and to have a new medical service provider, because he said it was unacceptable what happened to LaShawn Thompson. And he fought with the county commission to be able to get a new jail. He fought to say we need better medical services. Unfortunately, his pleas, like Rashaad's pleas, fell on deaf ears. And as we can see, there's no new jail in Fulton County, and there's the same medical service provider in Fulton County. In fact, we were told that not only did they keep the contract or get a new contract, but they got an increase in their pay after the death of LaShawn Thompson. And the sheriff believes unless the county commission does something that is foreseeable, that there'll be another LaShawn Thompson, there'll be another Rashaad Muhammad. How many more people have to offer evidence to Fulton County commissioners that we need a new jail here in Fulton County for the citizens of Fulton County, and you need to have medical services that are adequate and responsive to the needs of the citizens of Fulton County when there are inmates at the Fulton County Jail. Rashaad has no more hands to give. He has no more fingers to give. He has no more legs to give. Can you hear me? He has no more legs that he can give to ring the alarm, to get their attention. What more do we have to do to get the attention of the Fulton County Commissioners to say that we have a problem in Fulton County? It is important to note before we hear from Attorney Hertz and the other lawyers, before you hear from Rashaad Muhammad, it is important to note August 11th, Rashaad is cleared by Grady Hospital. They bring him to the jail. 11 days later, August 22nd, he is taken back after days of being denied the services he needed, the antibiotics. He's taken back in a severe medical distress. Severe. In fact, it's so severe that when he gets back to Grady, there is a dilemma that Rashaad explained to the sheriff, a medical dilemma when he gets back to Grady. And that medical dilemma is LOL, 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 life over limbs. You can either have your life, but that means you're gonna lose your hands and your legs, or you can keep your hands and your legs and you will die. That is the medical dilemma that Rashaad Muhammad is in once he gets back to Grady from the Fulton County Jail. And the inexplicable reasons why he never got the medical services that was necessary for him. Sheriff LeBont continued to empathize with him, saying that I'm suing the county too to try to get a new jail, to be able to have control to make decisions that can give inmates the chance they need to keep their health and welfare in check. But it was LOL once he got to Grady after 11 days at this Fulton County detention facility, this Fulton County Jail. And in fact, it is important to note that all of this was foreseeable, not only by the county commission, not only by the monitors of the sheriff and the county commission, but in 2024, the Department of Justice issued a scathing report about how the jail was not adequate, that the jail was unsanitary, that the jail was unsafe, that the jail was unhealthy, and that the jail did not provide the most basic medical services and mental health services. And it was all in a report by the Department of Justice. And yet, here we are, 2 years later, and nothing seems to have changed. It was foreseeable that there was going to be a tragedy like Rashaad Muhammad.
That's right. That's right.
It is foreseeable that if nothing happens, that this won't be the last tragedy that happens at Fulton County Jail. Yeah, LOL. We don't want any other inmates to have to suffer the fates of LaShawn Thompson. Attorney Harper and I thought after that for certain they were going to make changes. And now here we are, Attorney Park, saying, of course, Fulton County is going to do something after this young man lost his arm, his legs, and his hands. And it was preventable. All he needed was his antibiotics. Is that so much to ask? Is that so much to ask for? Not the medical service professionals. Where's your humanity?
That's right.
Where's your humanity?
Where's your humanity?
He was so close to dying on August 22nd. Where is your humanity? Where is your humanity? At this time, you're going to hear from Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Lisa Park, and Attorney Brandon Crump. Great legal team. Eric and Lisa, we've brought charges against many jails and many prisons all over the state of Georgia. In fact, across America. But I tell you, Fulton County Jail is one of the worst jails in the United States of America. Fulton County, it is time to get a new jail.
That's right. That's right.
We can't make it any simpler than that. Fulton County citizens, God help you if one of your loved ones have to come and be an inmate at the Fulton County Jail. I pray they don't make it through the doors like LaShawn Thompson and Rashaad Muhammad. He went in walking. He left the jail with no hands and no legs. This is what he left. I mean, this is how he left after 11 days. I don't know what more we can say. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Attorney Hertz, if you would, please
Absolutely.
convey your thoughts.
Who runs the microphone stand? I need her lifted up.
We've been listening to a press conference that civil rights attorney Ben Crump. This press conference is over at a former inmate at the Fulton County Jail, and they keep talking about medical neglect, and you heard the term deliberate indifference in terms of medical care. And the reason Attorney Crump kept talking about the antibiotics is because Muhammad became septic. That is a severe, potentially deadly blood infection, and once the body is septic, it really is a life or death situation. And the reason it can often end up in amputation is because at that point the body is going into shock and doing everything it can to protect the organs, so all the blood flow goes to the vital organs and not to the limbs. So you saw that pretty graphic picture of sort of the tissue on his legs dying off. That's because parts of the body are getting no blood flow as the body is fighting to live. Oftentimes sepsis cases result in amputation, and Attorney Ben Crump says this one was preventable if jail medical personnel had just given him the antibiotics that were prescribed to him from Grady Hospital before he went to the Fulton County Jail. So they just had a meeting with Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labat today, and they talked about the sheriff being empathetic, even saying, hey, I'm suing the county as well. The sheriff has long said there needs to be a new jail for security reasons, for overcrowding reasons. We saw an escape recently, basically using parts of the jail that had fallen apart to chip away and allow an inmate to an escape. So there's a long history of issues at the Fulton County Jail, and Attorney Ben Crump saying there needs to be a new jail. The sheriff agrees with him, but on April 15th, Fulton County commissioners voted instead to approve a $1.3 billion plan to renovate the existing building and add an additional facility that would provide about 1,800 beds. So a renovation is in the works. That plan's been approved, but again, voices still saying that's not enough. There needs to be a new jail. Even renovations would not be completed till about 2022. 35, so a long way off. So a story that continues to play out at the Fulton County Jail. This is a latest lawsuit surrounding Ben Crump is the attorney, and Mohammed is the man who lost his leg and many of his fingers because of sepsis. So we'll keep following for you this as well throughout the day here on 11 Live Plus as that is unfolding.